Like you're making this work. Did I mess you up?
Oh, we'll get back into this. Anyways, let me start off by doing our normal disclaimer here. The following opinions, I'm going to leave all this in because it's just kind of funny.
Hmm.
The views and opinions expressed on the Craig L. Hay Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts, ownership, or management. And now, on with the show. All right, now we're serious. We're back with the show this time.
Yes, we're so serious.
We're so serious about this stuff. Um, while we were trying to discuss which song we wanted to show you, and this is going to be a cut off of an album that Talbot and I and so many other people put together back
Yep.
in like 90, 91, and 92, 93. We released it in 93.
And we were, I think we were quite ahead of our time. I mean, you and I had put together dozens of tracks, and we tried to narrow it down to our best,
18.
18 or so.
Yeah, there's like 18 songs on this with 20-something tracks or something like that, or
Yep.
a lot of throw-in stuff, just goofball stuff we threw in there like we used to always do when
Yeah,
we were
we
just
had
having fun.
we had tracks that are just sound effects like toilets flushing and whatnot, and
Yeah,
or bits and pieces of phone messages that we had received, and just giving a little bit of I guess, a tiny piece of our life in that way.
yeah. And there's nothing else like that out there. I mean, the closest one I could come to is like Pink Floyd would do stuff like that a little bit,
Yep.
But we just took it to another level of just doing the absolute, just weird stuff that nothing of it made sense. Nothing of it went together. There was no reason for it,
Right.
other than we just went, oh, here's a cool sound effect. Record that. There's one album.
Yeah. Well, and we kind of had the attitude, why not? This is our thing.
Yes,
We're
it's our album. We're going to do it exactly like we want.
we're creating and we're trying to break some new ground somewhere. Try new things that we think hadn't been done. I remember one of those little in between blurbs is it's a bunch of, it sounds like a computer data,
Yep.
something or rather, which it is.
Yeah.
It's actually it was a code that if you fed it into the ESQ1 sequencer, it would actually show on the display of the keyboard, I think our address or phone number or something.
Yeah, it was something we put in there to see if anyone figured it out. No one did. I mean, I know keyboard guys were listening going, oh, that's keyboard binary. I wonder what keyboard that is.
Yeah.
Well, you had to have, at the day, one of 50 different keyboard systems that were out there, so good luck figuring it out.
Right. If you were a major keyboard geek, you might have recognized, it sounded like, because this was, at the time, computer discs didn't really exist right away.
Yeah.
Or at least not for the average person. You had to be, rich. If so, you were saving data literally to cassette tape.
Which is not a good save.
And then you'd have to play that cassette tape back into your keyboard for it to load up, your previous sequences or whatever.
Yeah, I think the prize, if you figured it out, was you got a new plastic ring from A&W Jack and McWindy's.
Woohoo!
And that would make it work for you just perfect. So no.
So this album was multiple artists. I remember.
Well, you were the main star. It was your and I project.
Yeah. I remember we were working on a bunch of stuff, different artists here and there, a lot of my material. And one day you came to me and you said, Talbot, we need to get all these songs put together and organized in some kind of album fashion, create a coherent package and not just have a bunch of loose songs floating around. And you said, I want to, correct me if I'm wrong, you said, I want to create a solvent or a coherent Talbot Snow project.
Yeah.
And you said, Talbot, you.
Yeah. You, Talbot, it's going to be yours and I project. You're going to be the face. You're going to be the name on it. and we need to put it together so it is, if we're really going to do this, we got to start doing it somewhere, and this is what it's going to be. And that's as far as I could think of. We had to actually put out our own album.
Yeah, well, and thanks to you. See, look, I never had thought of myself ever until that point in time as a solo artist. I'd always been a part of a group, even though, there were songs that were primarily me, myself, and I, as far as lead vocals go. I still thought of myself in a very generalized kind of a sense as part of a group. Hadn't really thought of myself as, there was 3 and 4 and 5 piece bands that I was part of, and then even Jim McNally and I formed a kind of a group as well, kind of sort of, and also Quentin.
Yep.
But it was you that came along and said, we need to get some of the Talbot Snow stuff, and just treat you as a solo artist. Yes, you, Craig, were the the production head there behind all that stuff. So you planted that idea in my head.
But that was just the beginning, though, and we're like, and you were like, oh, okay, yeah, let's run with this, and I was like, and I will finance it. But we're going to put this together.
Yeah.
We're going to make this happen. And then you and I were talking about it, and we had other guys in the band, and Jim was with us, and Victor Valdenegro. He had his guitar. 1-800
Yep.
was his band basically, and we had what was it, sax.
Yep.
And
Sax.
we had all these guys around us, had their projects, but they were helping us out, and we were like, we should throw these guys on the album too. Let them do a cut or two.
Yeah, and Danny.
And Danny, your wife, yeah, I forgot all about that one. And Danny, and let her do a couple tracks. So you weren't carrying the whole thing of, doing a 10 song or 12 song album or something like that, and spread out some of that. But, on 1-800 on Victor's, you did the vocals on that one.
Yep.
Along with your stuff. And
Well, and one of the people we sort of idolized was Quincy Jones. He had put together like his album Back on the Block. If you listen to that and see that, he's got all these multiple artists on it. It's mostly him. He's the guy. He's the man.
Mhm.
But he had, all kinds of dozens of different artists. Some of them instrumentalists, like sax players, guitar players, bass players, whatever. But then he'd also have other singers here and there. And someone else who did that a bit too was Prince. He would on some of his albums, he would have actually feature another lead vocalist on a Prince album.
yeah.
And we were kind of inspired by that general idea. No one had done it locally, on a local Vegas level or a non major record label level. And Quincy, when we say Quincy and Prince, of course we're talking about people who are, absolutely exceptional and out of the box themselves. They were always quite different from the mainstream.
Yep.
Even though they were part of the mainstream. And we were inspired by that. But then we took that idea of multiple artists, multiple genres, and put it all together into one album, which for Vegas was way ahead of its time.
Yeah. And, that's the time that they stopped doing homegrown album contest,
Yeah.
which I think we would have stomped on everybody on that one because nobody had the production. Nobody had anything compared to what we had done.
No.
But we invented a bunch of different ways of making these things happen and letting it sit there for days. That was the beauty of having a studio. When we didn't have a customer or something like that come in, or customers would say, well, you don't have anybody for these couple days. Okay, let's put this song on the table, and it's going to sit there, and we're going to work on it for a couple hours every day, mix it, see if there's anything lacking, and then we're going to come back the next day and do it. And we could do that for a couple of days until someone booked the studio, and then we'd have to wrap that one up and,
I remember sometimes we would mark the mixer with, tape and a marker.
Yep.
Like we'd put masking tape right next to the fader.
Yep.
Put a little mark on the tape so we could remember where to put the fader next time.
Yep.
Because we did not have total recall.
There was no such thing. Yeah, so we just had to make it. So anyways, the album was called Contrary to Popular Belief. And it was Talbot Snow, Contrary to Popular Belief, featuring Danny, Dani.
My XX.
Yep, your first ex. Michael James, James McNally. 1-800 with Victor Valdenegro playing all guitar. And sax, which was, well, I just had a brain fart on his name.
Mike Fatone.
Mike Fatone, jeez.
And he was kind of sort of partnered up with Joey, remember?
Yeah, but Joey did his parts and didn't want to do anything else, and he went on his way. But yeah, it was a great time. So the song we decided, we just talked about it between the break here, is going to be "Tender Moments," and it's just still one of my favorite songs to listen to, just because of the complex guitars and everything that went into this thing.
And I was trying my darndest out with some pretty layered backup vocals and high up, falsetto backup vocals. I think I have to listen to it again.
Yeah.
But I can't remember if they were falsetto or true voice. Maybe they're a bit of both. But I was singing my butt off. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And it was, it's a power ballad, a rock power ballad. What I think of it as being.
Exactly. And maybe one of these episodes we'll play something more of the funky side of us, or the the soul, because we could do it all, and we did it all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't do really a country one, which kind of a country one,
Yeah, there's a little bit of a country-ish one there that went, well, did it make it on the album? Would you like me any better?
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find that too. We maybe just do a couple of these. We do a couple episodes just this. So, anyways, the song is called "Tender Moments." It's from 1992-3, somewhere on the album of "Contrary to Popular Belief." We're just going to listen to it, enjoy it, and then we'll talk about it when we come back.
Just like you, I'm searching too, yeah. And just like you, I'm trying to see, yeah. Unlike you, I'm willing to change this man. Unlike you, I'm willing to Can you tell me where you've been? Can you tell me where you're going? Can you tell me what you see? Tender moments, tender moments like this. Whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah. Tender moments like this, yeah. Tender moments like this. Whoa, whoa, yeah, yeah. Tender moments.
That's a great song, man.
Yeah, those guys, whoever did that was awesome. They were
Man,
incredible.
I wish I could meet them someday.
I want to meet them right now. The difference is, the last episode we listened to Slave Driver. And Slave Driver was only, what, a year or two earlier than that?
Yeah, I might have been a bit more than that, but yeah, a couple years, 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years. That was the jump in our being able to, produce this stuff and make it, go from a good sounding stuff to like, holy crud, listen to that.
Yep.
You know,
I had so many people over the years, here and there, back then and during and since then, say how much they liked that song. People pointed out, as you said earlier, guitar work, layers of guitars, nice big, wall of sound kind of guitars, chords, and beautiful solos, solo-y things by Victor, I believe.
yeah, it was all Victor. Yeah.
Victor Valdenegro on guitars, Jim on the drums. I think I did all my own vocals on that one.
Yes.
And we, of course, were using the sequencers and whatnot as well. And I'm listening, hearing this on the headphones all these years later. I haven't listened to that song in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm hearing all the little stuff, like the little pulsing,
Yep. The stuff we filled in, there was holes in places, so we'd fill it in with this and that, and
we had a little bit of touch of strings, synth strings, and this really cool little subtle percussion. I hear like little hi-hat, little shaker thing in stereo.
Yep.
Playing, it's kind of subtle, but it's there.
Yeah,
And
doing like a counterpoint thing with each other, just,
yeah.
you know.
And then there's killer drum fill things, tom, which are, to me, an integral part of the style of the song.
Yeah.
Boom, ba boom, boom, kind of going on and off throughout.
Jim was really good at coming up with all that drum stuff and, finding the right fills and the right, all that stuff. He was,
Speaking of fills, yes, Jim was awesome. And Victor was awesome. You were awesome. I mean, your ear, how you mix that stuff, you and I bouncing off each other, there's a sound there that's freaking, you made my vocals sound like, holy moly.
guacamole.
You always had this great blend of way of putting. I remember we'd be working on a song, and I'd get, I don't know, a little ticked off and tired, and go get a big gulp or something, come back, and you'd be mixing, and the before and after used to just floor me, like, wow, listen to what it's sounding like now, when you had just done your thing to it. I hear on those vocals, for example, this really nice blend of chorusing and reverb and echoes, but it's not too much. It's just, it's rich, but it's not overpowering,
Yeah.
and it's just great.
And that's the secret right there. It's not overpowering. It's right where it should be.
Hmm.
You know, anything less, it would take away from it.
And I'm gonna
Anything
s-
more would distract from it. It has to be just right.
And I'm going to sound totally biased right now, but I still think that those songs, some of those songs on that album, put in the right place at the right time, could have easily been. But who knows? They might still be hit songs. I think if they were put in the right place, if you, as you say, if they had still had those homegrown, band competition albums and this and that, we would have just blown people out of the water. And I still think, I don't know, I think maybe call me a romantic, but I still think if the right person heard some of that music, like, wow, this stuff, we should do something with this stuff. Let the world hear it.
Yeah. And I don't think that it's egotistical on any of that stuff. They would look at us and go, "You guys are old. Never mind." Back when we were in our 30s, that's one thing. But when you're back, when you're going to say, "Listen to this cool stuff that we can do, and we're ready to go on tour, and just make sure you have wheelchairs for us." And
Hey, the geriatrics tour. No, I mean, but so what I'm saying is, we could be like almost like I don't know, like an Alan Parsons kind of a thing, or I don't know, like there are groups out there that don't tour in the traditional sense. They've put songs together that were on albums or on the radio and got popular one way or another. Even nowadays, via a song can get popular through a movie or some internet thing, and they don't have to be a traditional band per se. You could just put it out as a I don't know, like a theatrical thing, or a you don't have to be a traveling touring band. In other words, it could be just more of a I don't know what the word is. A behind the scenes package. I mean, look at what's his name, Daft Punk. These dudes never take off their helmets. Who the hell knows?
who the guys really are underneath them. It could be one of those things where the guys are in the studio, they make all the stuff, and they tell these guys, "Okay, practice being us and go out there and tour, and you guys get half the money and send us the other half."
Yeah. Yeah, like the Blue Man Group. I mean, how many guys have put on blue paint? And
Exactly.
who knows, if the original three are even in the thing anymore.
Yeah.
So you could put out a package, and just have fronts go out there and push it. It could be done.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Something like that could be done. And I'd be willing to try, even at this late stage of our
So
careers
we
and
wouldn't have
lives.
to be dancing around on stage per se,
That ain't
just
going to
be,
happen, yeah.
come on. Let's do some cartwheels. Let's be MC Hammer.
Yeah, broke my hip. Oy vey. No, but that's the whole thing about this stuff. It's I mean, it's so cool that we decided to do this kind of a show where it was like, let's listen to the first one and then listen to an album cut that we put on our album, and there is a chasm of perfection that has been accomplished.
Yep.
From learning how, and the first one shows we're learning how to use all the gear. We're learning. This one is, we know how to use this now. We're going to show you what we can do with it now.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. If someone came along, who had a lot of money,
Yeah. And we're asking for somebody with a lot of money to come along.
and they said, "Could you guys put this in some sort of a theatrical package or a visual production package that you could, pull off on stage somehow?" I mean, it could even be like a Cirque du Soleil thing, or whatever, utilizing our music.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's, there's different ways. Like I said, you could use different fronts. I mean, look at what's his name? Is it Lambert or who's in Queen? He's
Yep.
he's doing all the Freddie Mercury stuff. You could find guys like that, or Blue Man type, or Jabberwocky type characters that just are on stage, singing, or I don't know, God forbid, lip syncing, or just whatever, and still pull it off in a way that makes it fun to watch.
Yep.
Or if someone came to you with a lot of money and said, "Hey, could you guys here's something? Could you guys redo some of these songs on the Pro Tools?" I think you still have the ear.
Oh yeah. We could do it. It would require a little bit of different setup than
Yeah.
what you have at the studio right now.
Yeah.
For me to really get in there and dig into it, because this computer stuff is I can't see what you're doing. Number one, I've lost most of my vision.
You know what, though?
But I haven't lost the ear on knowing what's supposed to be what and
Right.
and all that stuff.
That's what I'm saying. You've got the ear, bro. And I think I could still pull off some of those vocals. I'd have to get back in shape
Yeah, vocal shape. Yeah,
and lose 50 pounds. But then I could do it. If I was really focused, I could do it. I think I could do it. So call me, romantic, whatever.
no. If we had the money and they said we want to put together a show with that stuff where you have, and I'm sure that we could get Jim to come on board. I'd have to find a new Danny. I'm sure she wouldn't want to be a part of that. Be anywhere near us.
But yeah, I mean, it would be fun. I still think about things like that.
Well, but you could do stuff like that, and you go out and do your songs, and Jim could do his, and then if Victor was alive and well or whatever, I don't know what state he's in his life, but we could put together something to make it work,
Yep.
and it'd be pretty incredible because the technology today with video systems and everything else like that, and
Well, I'm going to tell you something, by the way. Maybe I'm being a little bit, I don't know. I am planning on upgrading the studio in the next year or two. And there's a new system. It's going to blow your mind if you haven't seen it already. It's called the Raven. And it's all giant screens that you touch, okay? And they're sort of right in front of you on a 45-degree angle, and it's all the faders are right there, and you can touch them and just go like this, and you can make it as big or as small as you need, so you could see it, and it brings up the effects units that way as well. So
I often thought the greatest thing would be something like that, but it also would have either a Neve or an SSL, couple inputs, stuff like that. So you could put your hands on it, and it would remember everything you're doing. So, because I was always wanted to touch it and listen while I'm touching it.
This system I'm talking about would still have some dedicated hardware on the,
Most of it would be just
you got far left, far right. You've got rack-mounted hardware, for inputs and outputs. You still have
Nice.
some of that analog tube stuff.
and it recognizes everything you're doing and just translates it into the digital realm, huh?
Well, what it does is, as you're coming into, like this thing is a big control surface. It would control Pro Tools or whatever platform you want to use, but you use the hardware to input your signals into as it's coming into. Use the Neumann mic, go through the Avalon mic pre on its way into the Pro Tools.
Yeah.
So you're still getting that sound. And you do that with all your different, multi-track ins.
Yeah.
Go through various.
Okay.
I've got a thing like a distressor and a manly and whatever.
Yeah.
So but then also on playback, and I do a little bit of this now. On playback, you do the same thing. You've got your main stereo outs, or if you're doing more than two outs, you go through these same things on the way back out, and so you're capturing some of that
Nice. Okay.
tube warmth again.
Well, we're going to leave that right there for this episode. And when we come back, well, we're going to talk about a couple things before we come back, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do for the last episode on this interview session. So I'm back here with Talbot Snow, and he is here with me on the Craig L. Hayes Show. And I can't say Talbot, take it, because it just doesn't work that way on this console. So, anyways, we'll be right back. All right. Do this.
Sorry, I'm segueing off into all kinds of directions here.
Oh man,
Have you heard about the Raven?
yeah, you were